Welcome to today's current affairs session of Civilspedia. Today we are going to see the topics Multi-Commodity Exchange, Parker Solar Probe, Parivesh Portal, Prevention of Begging Act 1959 and Callosum Moment. Let us go into the first topic of Prevention of Begging Act. So Prevention of Begging Act. So why it is in news now? Because recently Delhi High Court has struck down this act as it is an unconstitutional. So after 6 decades, why the Delhi court says that it is an unconstitutional? So we will look into it. First, what does this begging act says? This begging act is purposely aimed to criminalize the begging. So second important thing it gives it gave power, absolute power to the police to arrest any individual without any warrant. And also it empowers the magistrate to offer the beggars to a detention center. That is, they called as a certified institutions. For the first time offense, they will be sentenced to up to 3 years. And for the second time offense, they will be sentenced up to 10 years. So these three provisions are very important with respect to this 1959 Act. So what controversy is coming in it is, once the power given to the detention centers, that is, this act gives the absolute power to the detention centers to frame the rules of their own. So if the beggars doesn't follow that rules, then they will be put into jail. Here comes this controversies. So how they're giving the absolute powers, how they're putting into the jail. And second most important thing is, this act authorizes to detain the persons who are depending on these beggars. And next most important thing is, this act authorizes to separate the children above the age of 5 years from these beggars. These another three important provisions of this act. Let's go into see the background of this act. The first and foremost important thing is, this act has not come just in the 1959 directly. Its background goes to the British, that is the colonial era. So during the colonial era, this nomadic communities has seen as a threat by the British government, because these nomadic communities cannot be controlled, or they cannot be tracked, surveilled, and most importantly, they cannot be taxed. So to tax this, to control these nomadic communities, the British government has created an act. And in addition to it, they also see several revolting tribes during this 19th century. So the British government see this nomadic communities and these revolting tribes as the potential criminals. So at that time in the early 19th century, there was a Tugi revolt. Tugi revolt is nothing but a robbery done by the disbanded Mughal soldiers. So the British saw, okay, we have to prepare an act to list who are the criminals. So they said, who are the wanderers, who are the petty traders, who are the rustic transporters, and who are the fakis, this disbanded soldiers. They all put it under this Criminal Tribes Act as the criminal tribes. They said the tribes who are criminals by birth, by nature, by occupation. So they said who are all born in these communities, they will be criminals. So initially the British government said Northwest Frontier tribes as the criminals. Then days go on, they started to add more and more tribes into it, criminals. And by 1871, the British government passed a Criminal Tribes Act. Under this, they listed a list of communities, especially tribes, as the criminals. Then this happened before 1947. Okay, what happened after 1947? That we got independence. So what happened is, let's see into it. After 1947, the government said this law is crucial and it is too cruel also. So they said, we will denotify these tribes as the criminals. And this notification was substituted by a series of acts called, generally entitled as a Habitual Offenders Act. Under this Habitual Offenders Act, most of the provisions of this Criminal Tribes Act is preserved, except one thing, that is, the whole community cannot be considered as a criminal under the born, as a birth, crime by birth. So they are criminal by birth. This one provision has been struck down. Rest of most of the provisions of Criminal Tribes Act has been incorporated into this Habitual Offenders Act. There comes the controversies. Then in 1959, Prevention of Begging Act was passed by the state of Bombay. Later it was adopted by 20 Indian states and 2 union territories. So let us now see what the judiciary has taken the stance in it. So first most important thing is, in Harsh Mandar case and Karnika Saini case, Delhi High Court that this act is severely violating Article 14 and Article 21. It's nothing but right to equality before law and right to personal life and liberty. So the court says that under Article 21 and under DPSP, it is the state's responsibility to provide all the amenities to all its citizens. So the poverty of this beggar is not because of the begging person itself. It is because of the state's inability to fulfill the responsibilities of this, fulfilling the responsibilities of providing the amenities to the beggars, so to all its citizens. So we cannot just criminalize the begging just because it is the inability of that begging person. It is also the failure of the states to provide the amenities to that begging person. So this is the first stand that judiciary has taken. Second most important thing is there was a vague definition of begging in this act. What this act says is nothing but who are all beggars is nothing but who are all getting money or any other product by showing the sympathy, by creating a sympathy. And in addition to that, this act says who are all the beggars is who don't fit in the mainstream of the society, who is not a lawful abiding person, and who don't have any visible means of support, employment to have a settled life. This vague definition of begging leads to so many arbitrary arrests. So these two things, the court says that according to these two stands, it is unconstitutional that the act is. So then comes next. So by this judgment, what we have understand is UPSC never going to ask the salient features of this act, what are the provisions and its impact. Mostly the UPSC will ask in that critically analyze this act or as per the GS2 paper, or they will say how this judgment has impacted the society, how this judgment has impacted the lawmaking things. So this judgment indicates nothing but dismantling of this colonial legacies, because this act shows nothing but and colonial legacy has been practiced even after the independence. So by striking down this act, it shows that we are dismantling this colonial legacy and making our constitution into a transformative constitution, so that our constitution will be a living document in this world. So this is one of the most important thing we have to notice in this issue, because in UPSC in mains question, if they ask how the colonial legacy has been impacting India even after independence, then you have to take act as an example how it has impacted and how the court has revamped our constitution. Then second most important thing is the court in its judgment itself said that the court can only strike down the law as unconstitutional, but it cannot reform the society. So now comes the role of executive and legislature. They have to take a proactive steps to integrate and rehabilitate this voiceless begging people into the mainstream of the society, so that they will have the wonderful life of their own. So to have it, so we have to go for this Amartya Sen's capability approach. What is this Amartya Sen's capability approach is, instead of giving just subsidies to these people, increase the capability of these people so that they will have wider choices to have what kind of job they can do in the future, what kind of life they can lead in the future. So by increasing the alternative livelihood opportunities for this begging person, we can uplift these people. So we can address the needs of this vulnerable section and voiceless section of the society. So the most important thing is, don't see this begging person as a waste. They are the human resources. They have the potential. We have to harness the potential of this human resources, this begging people. So for example, there was a person named called Ted Williams. He's in US. He was once a homeless person, but now he is called as a man with golden voice. So once he was a homeless person, but when he get a right opportunity to express his ability, now he is one of the famous personality in US. Similarly, all the begging persons will have some hidden potentials. We have to explore them. One of the important thing is, this act doesn't say what the output of this detention centers, that is called certified institution. So we have to look into it, how this certified institutions can transform the lives of this begging person, because this is one of the wonderful opportunity to transform, to increase the capability of this begging person, to enhance that potential of this begging person. So this act doesn't talk about this. These are the critically analyzing points of this act. So with the things, we will end up this issue and we will go to next issue. So next one is Khalistan Moment. Khalistan Moment, it was quite hot topic during 1980s. But why this came right now? Because there was a rally conducted in London, both by pro-Khalistan as well as anti-Khalistan protesters. They demanded a referendum by 2020. This is the main issue of this Khalistan movement, right? So we will see what is this Khalistan movement. This Khalistan movement is nothing but Sikh nationalist movement that wants to create an independent Sikh state. So this idea of a Sikh state has been initiated in 1940s, but it was subjugated at that time. Independence, it's not just but Hindu and Muslim communal problem came. It is a Hindu, Muslim and Sikh communal problem. But at that time also the Sikh communal issues has been subjugated. But in 1980s, it started to show all its tentacles into that Sikh, Punjab, Haryana, that much areas. So there comes the issues. So the Operation Blue Star and the sharing of Chandigarh and the sharing of Ravi and Bias water, these all created much more problem to this Khalistan movement. So to counter this rally, our government has said that we will going to celebrate the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak worldwide. So it is one of the counter step to subjugate this rally or to pacify the protesters. So what we have to notice in this Khalistan movement is, first one is this announcement was done by our government, organized by the event of ICCR, that is Indian Council for Cultural Relations. We have to see what is this organization. It is nothing but it is an autonomous organization founded by Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, our first education minister. Then second most important thing we have to notice is we have to study about Guru Nanak. What he said, what is philosophy, because this is more important from Prelims perspective. So what is this message of humanity and one God? What he said, how he has impacted. Because earlier UPSC has asked about Krishna Dev Raya's contribution in literature. Similarly, in mains question, they may ask about Guru Nanak contribution to the Indian society. So we have to see from the prelims perspective as well as the mains perspective. We will move on to the next topic. Next topic is multi-commodity exchange. Multi-commodity exchange, what is the news right now is, there was option trading in non-agro commodities like gold and crude oil. There was a steady rise in this returns of this option trading in non-agro commodities. So why this is happening right now is because of this SEBI's liquidity enhancement scheme. Because in this scheme, nothing but the brokers and the market intermediaries will be given more incentives to enhance the liquidity of the market, so that more investor has been attracted towards this market, multi-commodity exchange. So first we will see about what is this MCX, that is multi-commodity exchange. In India, totally there are 3 commodity exchanges, most importantly. First one is this MCX, second one is NCDEX, and third one is ICEX. First one, multi-commodity exchange. Second one is National Commodity and Derivatives Exchange. Third one is Indian Commodity Exchange. So 3 are most important commodity exchanges in India. Among them, this one is MCX is the largest and the most important commodity exchange in India. So it was established in Mumbai in 2003. Earlier, this commodity exchange was regulated by Forward Market Commission. But in 2015, this Forward Market Commission has been merged with SEBI. So now SEBI is the ultimate regulator of this commodity exchange. We will see into this commodity exchange. First thing is, there are 4 commodities has been traded in this MCX. First one is metals, then bullion. Bullion is nothing but precious metals like gold and silver in the form of bars, not in the form of jewelry form. Then third important thing is energy, nothing but crude oil and natural gas. Then fourth is agro commodity. These 4 things are being traded in MCX. Then another issue in this is, this year National Stock Exchange and MCX has submitted its proposal for its merging together to the SEBI. So SEBI will decide about the merging of National Stock Exchange with MCX in coming October month. And another important thing is, we have to differentiate these 3 commodities. What is important things in MCX, what is in NCDEX, and what is in ICEX. So regarding the ICEX, so last year, first time diamond future trading has been started in this ICEX, diamond future trading. So this is most important thing. Last year it was happened and it gave good returns also. Regarding this MCX and NCDEX, MCX has been specializes in bullion trading, while NCDEX is specialized in agro-based trading. Last year, MCX offers option trading in gold, silver, crude oil, copper and zinc, while NCDX offers option trading in guar seed. This was happened recently only. They have started this guar seed option trading. Then what is this option trading? There are 4 types of trading. First one is option trading, then forward trading, then future trading, finally swap trading. As the name itself says, option trading is, it gives the option that right for the buyer and seller. So there is no fixed date or fixed quantity. That is, this will give some right for the buyer and the seller to exchange their commodities and the amount. So next one is forward trading. Forward trading is transaction between 1 to 1. So one buyer and one seller, their agreement between the both. So on a fixed date at a fixed time, a fixed amount of quantity or commodities will be traded. The next at a fixed price also. Then future trading. Future trading is nothing but a standardized form of this forward trading. Here there will be much sellers and buyer will be one. So I need some thousands kg of some commodity. So I cannot have one from one person this 1000 kgs. So from 10% I will get 100 kgs. So each and everybody I cannot go and negotiate it with all these people. So I will go for this future trading. So I will have a standardized agreement. With that thing, the quantity alone changing, rest of the provisions will be same. This is future trading. So here the diamond futures trading will follow these steps. Then last one is swap trading. As the name itself says, swap trading is nothing but swapping the commodities between the 2 persons. So I'm giving one commodity, the opponent person will give another commodity. That is nothing but swapping. So these are the 4 types of trading. In that, option trading has been recently introduced in this commodity exchange and it has given huge amount of return. So that is why it is in news right now. Then we will go on to next topic, that is Parker Solar Probe. Why it is in news right now? Because NASA has recently sent this Parker Solar Probe, nothing but a mission to touch sun. So it is the NASA's planned robotic spacecraft to probe the outer corona of the sun. The total journey time it takes is 7 years. So initially this mission was called as a Parker Solar Probe Plus, but later it was renamed as Parker Solar Probe in order to honor the astrophysicist Eugene Parker. He was the first to predict the solar winds in 1958. This itself shows the importance of solar wind in this mission. So next thing is, we have to note it is, this is the first time NASA has named a spacecraft by a living person name. So this one is important regarding it. Next we will see into this list of this Parker Solar Probe. So first one is, this was designed to fly within 8.5 solar radii. That is this 8.5 solar radii. So that is nothing but 6.4 million kilometers. This is the closest mission to the sun. The earlier closest mission was Helios 2 in 1976. It has reached 43 million kilometers. So this one is 6.4 million kilometers. So it is very much closer to the sun. And another thing is, the velocity of the spacecraft is 200 kilometers per second. So that this spacecraft is the fastest spacecraft till to date. And another thing is, this mission is scheduled to end in June 2025. Then what are the primary goals of this mission? The main objective of this mission is how the energy and heat have been moved through the sun's corona. And second most important thing is to study the plasma and magnetic field to understand this corona mass ejection. This corona mass ejection is nothing but at the sun's surface, at some points the magnetic field get intensified so that some corona mass particle has been ejected from the corona, that is sun's outer space. This ejected mass particles has formed into this solar wind. So by understanding this, we can study the impact of the solar wind on the Earth atmosphere and the Earth lifestyle. So for this thing, this is the important things regarding this Parker Solar Probe. Because recently our government has also planned to have space mission. So many space achievements has been accomplished by our India. So we have to note this one because in GS3 they may ask to compare this Parker Solar Probe with India's Aditya mission. So we have to know some little details, technical details of this mission also. Let's move on to next topic. Parivesh portal. So recently in the August 10th, that is the World Biofuel Day, our government has launched this Parivesh portal. It's Parivesh means environment. With that itself, we will came to know this portal is related with environment. So first, this abbreviation of this Parivesh is proactive and responsive facilitation by interactive and virtuous environmental single window hub. So this is the abbreviation of this Parivesh. So it comes under the Digital India Initiative. The most important thing is has to monitor monitoring the proposals that has been submitted to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and the proposals submitted to state level environment impact assessment authorities. So there are a lot of pendings happening for this scrutinizing these proposals. So by having this online portal, we can reduce the burden of these authorities and also making the facilitation easy way for the proponents to submit that proposal. Because few years back, 3 years back, our economic survey has said that our government stalled project is mainly due to environmental clearance. There is huge burden in this environmental clearance authorities. So by introducing these things, Parivesh portal, we will reduce that time taken by this or time delay happening in regulating this environmental clearances issues. So this one is important from the perspective of GS3 also. And in governance also, we can quote it as an example, paper 2. And it is developed by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change with the technical support from National Informatics Centers, that is NIC. Most of the government websites will have technical support from National Informatics Center. With that things, we will end out today's current affairs sessions. Thank you for learning with us. Have a positive day.